Welcome back to Artificial Evidence. I am Owen Carver, and as always, the algorithm knows. Tonight, we are traveling to Southern California, to the city of Valencia, known for its winding suburban streets, high-end shopping centers, and proximity to Los Angeles. But in the summer of 1991, it became known for something far more chilling. A woman named Laura Decker left her apartment on a Tuesday afternoon to run errands. She stopped at a grocery store, withdrew $40 from an ATM, and was seen driving down Magic Mountain Parkway at 3:26 in the afternoon. And then, she was gone. No signs of a struggle, no abandoned car, no witnesses who saw anything unusual. It was as if Laura had vanished into thin air. For months, police had no real leads. The usual suspects were looked into: her ex-boyfriend, a disgruntled co-worker, even the man who had recently sold her a used car, but no one could be connected to the disappearance. Then, nearly 1 year later, a construction crew digging the foundation for a new office park found something buried in the dirt, a shallow grave containing Laura's remains. The discovery should have provided answers. Instead, it only raised more questions. The autopsy could not determine an exact cause of death. Her car, her purse, and her personal belongings were never found. And strangest of all, her body was buried nearly 10 miles from where she was last seen, on private land that was set to be developed years later. It was almost as if someone knew that, eventually, she would be found. This is the story of Laura Decker, the woman who vanished in Valencia. Laura Decker was 26 years old at the time of her disappearance. She was a graduate student at California State University, Northridge, working toward her master's degree in psychology. She lived alone in a modest one-bedroom apartment in Valencia, had a small circle of friends, and was described as responsible, intelligent, and cautious. On the morning of July 2nd, 1991, she spoke with her best friend on the phone. Nothing seemed unusual. Later that day, her neighbors saw her leaving her apartment around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She drove a silver Honda Accord, a car she had purchased just 2 months prior. Surveillance footage from a nearby grocery store captured her entering around 3:15. At 3:22, she used an ATM at a Bank of America branch less than a mile away, withdrawing $40 in cash. And at 3:26, a traffic camera captured her car turning onto Magic Mountain Parkway. That was the last confirmed sighting of Laura Decker. When she failed to show up for a dinner with friends that evening, they were concerned but assumed she had lost track of time. By the following morning, when she still had not returned any calls, her best friend, Megan Lively, drove to her apartment. The door was locked. There were no signs of forced entry. Her purse, keys, and wallet were missing. Her answering machine had 2 messages, one from Megan and one from a classmate reminding her about an upcoming study group. Her car was gone. The police were contacted later that day, and an investigation began, but there was almost nothing to go on. No signs of a struggle, no suspicious activity reported in the area, no reports of car accidents involving a silver Honda Accord. For weeks, investigators worked through every possible lead. Laura's ex-boyfriend was questioned. A co-worker with whom she had reportedly clashed was investigated. Even a local mechanic who had serviced her car was interviewed. Nothing. It was as if she had simply stopped existing at 3:26 in the afternoon on July 2nd. And for almost 1 year, that was exactly what people believed. On June 11, 1992, a construction crew was preparing land for a new office development near Interstate 5. The land had been vacant for years, a stretch of dry, uneven dirt with nothing but a few scattered trees. The crew was digging a trench when they uncovered something unexpected, a human skull. Within hours, police were on the scene. The rest of the remains were carefully excavated, revealing the full skeletal structure of a woman. Though the body had been buried for nearly a year, dental records quickly confirmed what investigators feared. It was Laura Decker. Her remains were found almost 10 miles from where she was last seen, in an area with no reason for her to have been there. Even more unsettling was the fact that this land had been scheduled for development, meaning that whoever buried her there had done so knowing that, eventually, she would be found. The autopsy report was inconclusive. There were no signs of blunt force trauma, no fractures, no evidence of gunshot wounds. Toxicology tests could not determine if she had been poisoned due to the condition of the remains. The only definitive finding was that Laura had been deceased for nearly the entire time she had been missing. But there was one crucial piece of evidence. a small piece of fabric, found clutched in her skeletal hand. It was later identified as part of a seat cover from an older model pickup truck. It was the first real lead in the case. Investigators combed through every registered vehicle in the area that matched the make and model of the seat cover fragment. One name stood out: Charles Ridley. A 45-year-old former truck driver, Ridley had a history of minor offenses, trespassing, vandalism, disorderly conduct. But what drew investigators' attention was that, in July of 1991, he had been working maintenance at an industrial site less than half a mile from where Laura's body was found. Ridley was brought in for questioning. He denied knowing Laura, denied ever seeing her. But there was a problem. When detectives checked Ridley's financial records, they found a withdrawal made at the same Bank of America ATM on the same day Laura disappeared. At 3:23 in the afternoon, 1 minute after Laura had withdrawn her money, Ridley refused to explain why he had been there, but investigators now had enough to obtain a warrant for his truck, which was still registered in his name despite being sold months earlier. When they tracked it down, now owned by a man in Bakersfield, they found something disturbing. The driver's seat cover was missing a section of fabric, a section that matched the piece found in Laura Decker's hand. Despite the evidence, Ridley was never convicted. The case against him was circumstantial. There were no eyewitnesses, no DNA, no direct proof of how Laura had died. In 1993, Ridley moved to Arizona. In 2007, he died of a heart attack at the age of 61. He was never charged in connection with Laura's death. To this day, Laura Decker's case remains officially unsolved. But if there is one thing we have learned on this show, it is that evidence has a way of surfacing, even years later. Maybe, someday, new technology will reveal what really happened on July 2nd, 1991. Maybe someone will come forward with information that changes everything. Or maybe the answer has been there all along, waiting for us to see it. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Artificial Evidence. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like and subscribe. I am Owen Carver, and remember, the algorithm knows.